Good afternoon, everyone. This is Gavaskar Reed, Industry Engagement Manager for the New York City Public School System. I am here in the Office of Student Pathways, and if you're not familiar with these meetings are the most exciting, most exhilarating, most fantastic way to spend your afternoon. I've been here for 8 years now. My job is to build and cultivate and expand partnerships for our career and technical education schools, and I am the liaison between the industry and the classroom. And this is a job that I very much enjoy. And one of the main reasons why I enjoy it so much is because of each and every one of you in attendance today. So I want to give a huge shout out to all commission members, industry partners, principals, assistant principals, work-based learning coordinators, guidance counselors, paraprofessionals, everybody from the entry level to the middle management to the executive level and everybody in between. Thank you for making this job so phenomenally fun for me. And we are going to hit about 100 people soon. I see some more people are logging in. These meetings are recorded. So please make sure that you are muted unless you are the one speaking. And these meetings are open discussions, all right? So I don't want to just spend the entire time lecturing you. Anytime there is a panelist or a presenter, I'm really encouraging you to please participate, ask any question you want, make any comments you want. I always like to keep the chat box open so that you can speak with each other and network during this time. Sometimes when I'm talking, I may be boring you to tears, and that's okay. You don't have to listen to me. You may see somebody else interesting in the room. By all means, utilize that chat box, whether you want to say something publicly or you want to say something privately to somebody in attendance. Uh, Today's meeting, we are combining our Automotive and Transportation Commission with our Construction and Sustainability Commission, with our Engineering and Architecture Commission. So we represent all the different unions and private sector, for-profits, community-based organizations, and career and technical education high schools that offer anything within STEM, the skilled trades, anything dealing with aviation, maritime, transit, anything dealing with the building trades. This is the place to be. And I don't mean to brag, but there are very, very few places where there is this much firepower and this many impactful people that come together under one roof, albeit virtually. So I want to thank you for the great work and the hard work that you all do. And before we get into the meaty part of the agenda, I want to give our chairpersons a chance to give their remarks to you. And first, I'm going to turn it over to Daniel Cordoza, who is the VP and Chief Maintenance Officer for Metropolitan Transit Authority. Take it over, Dan.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Again, I'm Daniel Cardoza, Vice President and Chief Maintenance Officer for MTA New York City Department of Buses and MTA Bus Company. And as you know, I also serve as the co-chair of this great Automotive and Transportation Commission. I too went to CTE Automotive back during the 80s. It was just called vocational high school. So this really does mean a lot to me. Today, New York City Transit MTA bus, we operate approximately 5,800 buses and 1,800 vehicles, and we employ approximately 19,000 people. This commission is so important to the success of the CTE program, so we can do our part, right, to find our employees and get them on the correct career path. So my quick message today is to just really speak about this core commission members that we have here and some of the things we should do in the upcoming years. So we must continue to connect with each other through this commission. We must continue to use real world trends to shape the program. We must increase our visits to the schools and review curriculum. We must increase student and parent engagement with the first goal to fill all automotive classes to capacity. Our second goal, continue student and parent engagement, explaining career paths available to students at graduation. Third goal is, I really believe this starts in middle school. And, some of the things that I have seen through some of our recruitment events that I've attended, and I've spoke to many, many high school students, and we'll talk to them and tell them all about the MTA. And the problem is that they're not in the automotive program. And the folks that I'm looking for, I need them to be in the automotive program. So that engagement with students and parents is just so important, and trying to get the timing right. So once they're in high school, that they pick that program. It's just so important we get there. And one other thing we must do is we have to ask the question, as core members of this commission, we got to ask the question is, how can I help? And that question's got to be asked to principals and teachers at our CTE schools. All of us on this phone call that are not part of the DOE, right? We are all competing for the same talented future automotive technicians, but we're all in this together. The CTE automotive graduates must all get an opportunity for a career. Here at the MTA, applications are down for maintenance titles. Our mechanics and helpers throughout the years, they just continue to drop. We're really hopeful with more outreach that we're going to increase our numbers. And my colleague from the MTA, Jacqueline Wallace, she will be speaking later today, telling you about our helper positions that are available through a test for all the CTE automotive graduates. So I look forward to working closer with everyone as a team to achieve a positive outcome for our students. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dan. And I want to thank you for being an ambassador for this work and for encouraging our various commission members and industry partners in attendance to be more involved in supporting our CTE programs. Next, I'm going to turn it over to Mindy No, Principal of Perkins Eastman.
Thanks, Gav. My name is Mindy No. I'm a principal at Perkins Eastman, a large global architecture firm in New York. And my background and experience lies in the education sector. So over 30 years of experience in college and universities, as well as K through 12. And this program's commitment to strengthen the connections between schools and industry partners are even more important today. Dealing with challenges to encourage teamwork and problem solving. These are skills that are still critical in the success of CTE students and educators and administrators alike. So it's not only students. So as we look at the short-term and long-term goals of this commission, focusing on implementation and throughput by following career paths, students' paths through education, whether it's technical or college-bound. I think it's really important to gauge the success of the program by following through with the program. So the connections with industry partners here and the knowledge and current practices provide better exposure to potential careers. And this commission's meetings are a vehicle to share some of the resources. So I really want to thank everyone here today, as well as our speakers. And if there's any specific areas of focus that you would like the commission to highlight in the next meeting or a series of meetings, please feel free to reach out. But thank you, and great to see everyone here.
Thank you so much, Mindy. Next, we are going to hear from Costas Diamantis.
Good afternoon, everyone, with the Construction Sustainability Commission. So, just real quick, there's a lot going on in our commission as well. We're just constantly busy. There's a lot of work coming up, and I think all our trades now, I've seen the plumbers just had a recruitment. There's been plenty of recruitments coming up, and we're having one on June 18th for the drywall tapers finishers in Long Island City. I'll put the address and everything in the chat. But I know there's a lot of different trades opening up. Kids are graduating high school right now, and this is a good time to set this up, get people on that Department of Labor apprenticeship site to get into a good career path. And part of sustainability, there's so many exciting trends coming between offshore wind, solar, especially in New York City, building decarbonization, and a lot of our trades, each of us have a piece of that. So there's always something to come in. You learn a little bit of the core of each of our trades. be it electricians, iron workers, painters, drywall finishers, every trade across New York City. But they have a little bit of those core trades, and you get a lot of that, maybe specialize or expand into composites, offshore wind, training and things like that. So, just excited to be part of it, get as much information to everyone as possible, especially when we start off the new year, new semester. I know there's also something in the works with the summer youth program training to reach out. Right now, I think it's something that may be going on in Queens, but hopefully it'll expand over the next couple of years. We haven't started it yet, but we're working on a program to get kids in the summer, get credits, and get some training in apprenticeships and maybe some credit towards pre-apprenticeship programs. And if they do join, they'll have some credit towards their apprenticeship program to move a little quicker into that. And that's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Gus. Does anybody have any questions, concerns before we move on? All right, next I'm going to turn it over to Eric Richardson.
Thanks very much. So the first thing I want to let everybody know is that we now have a posting, and I'm going to put it in the chat, for the auto service worker exam. It's a E&E, so it's an educational and experience exam that has opened. It opened as of July 5th. It closes, June 5th. It closes on June 25th. And that test had been changed a few years ago to allow for those who graduate from automotive high schools to qualify for the 2 years experience. So I certainly encourage those of you who know students who are graduating from automotive programs to go ahead and get them to apply for that notice of exam. There was some questions that have been posed to me about fee waivers, and there are some fee waiver possibilities or sponsorship. So if there are any student who's really interested but they feel they can't afford it, please reach out to me. We had a very great and successful event at ATEC High School a couple of weeks ago with the Governor's Highway Safety Administration and also NASCAR driver Ross Chastain. 6 schools came. We had a few hundred people who came through. We also used it as an opportunity to honor the spring internship program. It was the first time that we had done an automotive spring in-school program. Students came almost every day. They were able to work in the morning, got back to school by 11 o'clock. There was 23 spring interns, so it was great to have them. I do appreciate those of you who from Parks, Fire, DOT, and PD who are part of that program. We are gearing up for our summer program. 43 interns have been requested by our agency, Parks Department, Fire, DOT, DCAS, and the Police Department. So we are certainly looking forward to being part of that program again. We've recently donated a few vehicles to a few of the automotive high schools as well. And if any automotive high school teachers or others are on this call, please reach out to me if you have any needs for vehicles for your training programs. These are vehicles that you would be working on, not vehicles that would be out on the street, although we do support driver ed programs as well. I do want to recognize Spiro Catan from the Department of Sanitation, who is on this call. Spiro is going to be retiring from city service after 40 years with the city. He has been an incredible supporter of the automotive program and our internship program. So Spiro, thank you very much for all of your service. And actually, at the same time, I will be closing out as co-chair of the Automotive and Transportation Committee as of July 5th, as I will be leaving city service for a position in road safety consulting. So I wanted to appreciate and thank you for everyone who's been on this call. The fact that there's 113 people who are on this call is an amazing testament to the work that you all do for our commissions and for our students. And, we continue to recognize that it's all about the students and making sure that they have a career path after they graduate high school. So I thank you for all of your support and all the work that we've been doing, and I'll pass it back to Gav. Thanks, Gav.
Thank you, Eric. And I'm here trying not to cry. I'm not an emotional person, but Eric has been such a fantastic industry partner. The amount of internships that we've been able to get because of Eric, the amount of different opportunities within DCAS, particularly within the automotive trade, that Eric has been able to connect our schools to. Thank you so much. And if you can find that emoji that shows the applause. I'm asking you to just please click on that as a show of appreciation for Eric. This is a guy where he's not helped just 1 or 2 or 3 schools, but I'm talking about portfolio-wide stuff and city-wide stuff. So thank you so much, Eric, for everything that you do. There's so many work-based learning programs and opportunities and initiatives that would not have been possible were it not for your leadership. So on behalf of the New York City public school system, thank you so much for your service to our schools and to New York City overall. And that being said, is there any favors we want to ask from Eric before he leaves? Because this is the time. Let's try to use them up before he goes. Is there any questions, any comments, any favors you need from Eric or DCAS before we move on with the meeting? All right, everybody's well
Oh,
taken
no,
care
no,
of.
no. I was
Yes,
just
oh,
about
go
to
ahead.
say it. I got
Go
you, bro.
ahead. Go ahead.
How you doing? I'm gonna just be the indelicate one to say it. Eric, could you please tell us how to like copy and paste you so that we can continue to have this kind of partnership for the next, 20, 30 years, man? Like really, I just want to know, like, who do we talk to?
Well,
Who
the
do we
good news
hug?
is
Like, how do we keep you?
yeah, I will still be around to help you guys out wherever I can in my non-city role. However, Matt Arenberg, who's on this call, he's our director of the Fleet Office of Real-Time Tracking, will be assisting, and Tamika Johnson, who is our deputy chief for acquisitions and administration, once she's approved, will be taking my spot as co-chair. So I will leave you in good hands, but I'm also available for any sort of guidance or help or wherever we can be supportive.
Much appreciated, Eric. Thank you so much. All right, next up, we are going to turn it over to our Deputy Executive Director of Career Connected Learning, none other than Reina Utsunomiya. Reina, feel free to unmute.
Thank you, Gav. And I echo all the sentiments, Erica. We will truly miss all the support that you have provided. Hope our paths cross again. Hi, everyone. My name is Reina Utsunomiya. I am supporting our workforce learning and engagement work as part of Career Connected
I'm
Learning.
sorry, Reina. I don't know if it's me only, but I'm having difficulty hearing you. I don't know if this is.
Can you hear me? Is this working?
Oh, that's great. Thank
Okay,
you.
got it. There's like a little group of us in meetings right now. Okay. So what I also wanted to express here is thank you to our CTE schools, teachers, faculty, the amazing work you've done this year in leading your students through, and also for the schools who have gone through the reapproval process for career and technical education. One of the things I also wanted to make sure I highlight is that the work that we are doing is impacting other ways that we are thinking about how do we get more students involved in our various careers in auto, transportation, and construction, engineering, and architecture. And in a moment, I'm going to introduce my colleague, William Shake, who will talk a little bit more about how that is also going to be expanding. But one thing I do want to mention is that as part of the career and technical education work, last week we released the updated CTE quality continuum. And this is something that we're going to be using alongside our program quality and approval team to make sure that schools have a way to continue to look at how can they continue looking to improve their programs. And for those who are newly starting to open programs, what are the benchmarks and milestones you can use to work towards building out an effective CTE program. So after I speak, I'm going to drop the link to that continuum in the chat. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to our CTE team. But now I do want to introduce you to William Shank. She is our Senior Director for Future Ready NYC, and she's going to talk a little bit more about some initiatives we are now going to be undertaking in the coming school year. William?
Hi, everyone. Doing a quick check. Are you able to hear me okay?
We hear you perfectly.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Gab. Let me know if I cut out at all. I'm in this very grand, impressive space down at Tweed. Raina and I are in the same space. So if anything cuts out, just put it in the chat and I'll join my phone audio. Gab, just want to check, are we sharing a slide or should I just reference that?
Yeah, feel free to share your screen if you want to.
All right, give me 1 second. If you have it handy, and want to drop it, that'd be great. But if not, no worries. Give me a second. All right,
Sure.
I got it here. I got it. Here's the slide that I'm going to be referencing, and I will also share my screen now. All right, everyone should be able to see it at this point. And if you can give me a thumbs up, just so I know, that'd be great. Awesome,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes.
Okay, great. I am the Senior Director of the Future Ready program, and I joined the team back in January. Very excited to wrap up all the hard work that's been done in schools and Future Ready over the past 5-6 months since I've been here, and we're really getting geared up for next year. One of those big things that we're very excited about kicking off for next year, is why we're all here together, is the HVAC and decarbonization pathway, which is going to be a pilot pathway we are kicking off next year. Just to connect, this is aligned to the Mayor's Plan NYC goals and the Green Economy Action Plan. That's where this pathway came from. There are 6 schools that we are piloting this pathway with. I have them listed up here on this slide. I'm sure many of you are familiar with them. If not, I'm sure you will be soon. So these 6 schools applied and are joining us as the pilot schools for this pathway. There are 2 summaries I have of the next 2 years of engagement that we will be kicking off with these schools starting in August. So for school year 24-25, we are going to be developing curriculum aligned to the HVAC and decarbonization pathway. These schools are going to be partners with us as we align that curriculum and as we develop it. The schools are also going to kick off by having all of their 9th graders implement Career Foundations coursework. This coursework is meant to give all students an opportunity to learn about what the modern world of work looks like and what they need to be thinking about in terms of their own future career aspirations and how that might start ideally before high school, but also really culminating in high school as they move forward to college and career. So the schools are going to implement that curriculum with all of their 9th graders. And the purpose of that being, so all their 9th graders are primed as they're jumping into 10th grade to identify and raise their hand and say, yes, I want to be a student in the HVAC and decarbonization pathway. Over the course of next year, the curriculum is going to be developed. We have a variety of ways of engaging with the schools, including focus groups with both the schools and students. And working with an industry leader in curriculum development. And then starting in school year 25-26, that curriculum will be implemented in the schools for students. So it will kick off in 9th grade. Those 9th graders the following year are going to again take the Career Foundations course. And we're going to be rolling this out with curriculum across 10th through 12th grade, beginning at these pilot schools. There ideally will be additional schools that join the following year, but these 6 schools are our inaugural schools here. I'm going to pause here and see if there are any questions or Gab, if there's anything else I can address here, I'm happy to. And thank you so much for your attention. It's wonderful to hear and learn from you all. Gab, I'll throw it to you however I should use the next amount of time.
Yeah, thank you. Any questions from any of our schools? Lyle, I see your hand. Feel free to unmute.
Thank you. So just for clarification, as you're talking about the HVAC and decarbonization pathway, are you looking more at the built environment? Are you also going to include the utility and power gen side of things, or is it still TBD? It's a very big,
I'm sorry, I spoke over the end of your question. Go ahead.
No, because I can speak for, the history as, National Grid and Con Ed have supported energy tech in the past. This seems, is this an expansion of this, or if you can help around this big universe?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I think your last option is the one that we're leaning into. It's the TBD, to be decided, in conjunction with the curriculum developers and also working with the pilot schools to see what actually fits with the high school course sequence as well as the other components of Future Ready. There are other parts of Future Ready that need to be integrated into the school experience. It cuts across 5 different components. So advising, career-connected instruction embedded into the high school day, college credit access and credential access, financial literacy support, and then finally work-based learning opportunities. So I list all of those just to clarify that this is going to be embedded within those 5 components. And so I think the pilot year is going to give us a chance to see what is possible with all of the requirements that Future Ready entails, and also gets to what you're saying of where do we go next with what's very needed in the industry. Does that answer your question, Lyle? I know it's a little bit of a we're not sure yet, but hopefully I addressed at least the initial sense.
No, I think it's very helpful, and I'm sure this has had come up with the other CTs, especially depending on where you focus on the decarbonization. There are some very specific work requirements within industry on the utility side that unfortunately some of the kids may not be aware of, and just want to bring that up. And in terms of the work ready, and specifically, I have a child in middle school and they're already talking about it, but like whatever you're doing in that work ready program in the utility side, you have to say you're not doing certain legalized recreational drugs.
Right. Right. That's a really like good flag. And I think that's part of the goal of using the focus groups to get a sense of like what are schools already thinking about. But then additionally making sure we're engaging with industry partners who know what the reality of the landscape looks like with these. I mean, even the example you just named, that's something that should be very clearly named in this program so that students are truly getting towards that readiness. Yeah, great question, and an important thing for us to be thinking about.
All right, thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Hi there, good afternoon. Tanya Wardally from Boys and Girls High School. I see on your second bullet, school year 24 to 25, that's next year, the Career Foundations coursework for 9th grade students. Are you saying that these 6 pilot schools have committed all of their 9th grade students to the Career Foundations coursework? Or is it those that are just participating in the new HVAC and decarbonization pathway? And that was question first part. Second part, I think is a follow-up what you were just saying, but I want to be clear. Is CFM that is required for the state pathway, a part of the pathway anyway, is that embedded in this Career Foundations coursework for the year? Because I believe 9th grade you're saying is not just a semester but a whole year.
It's a great question, Tanya. So I'm going to do my best to answer both parts, but you hold me accountable. Either put it in the chat or tell me if I don't. All of these schools have committed to all 9th graders taking Career Foundations in 9th grade. But asterisk, I know there are 2 exceptions. So if we have any schools that are in CRMYA, Career Ready and Modern Youth Apprenticeship, those schools already have a 9th grade course called Career Explorations that covers the Career Foundations requirements. So we're not asking CRMYA schools to double up. The second exception would be for CTE schools. And this, we need to develop some guidance so it's very clear. I'm aware that there are certain CTE pathways, and I think this is what you're referencing, where the students take, starting in 9th grade, certain introductory courses, like they applied to this school to be part of this pathway. And that's a state mandate. We can't change the curriculum sequence for those CTE pathways. And so we are not asking for those 9th graders to disrupt their pathway to add this. The expectation is every 9th grader who doesn't receive those career exploration abilities or opportunities, are invited into and get a chance to take the Career Foundations coursework, which we provide all of the curriculum and training for that. The second part of your question, I think, was around, does it have to be a full year? Does it have to be it is malleable depending on what your school already is implementing or what the availabilities are within your schedule and course sequencing. It can be taught in a year or in a semester. Another popular option that a lot of schools look at is embedding it into other coursework, for example, an advisory course. So what I would say is specifically for Boys and Girls High School, like we should probably coordinate a time to go through what you all already have in place and see which option best fits. And we can definitely provide that guidance. Tanya, does that answer both your questions? Let me know if not.
All right, we got a thumbs up. So thank you
Okay,
so
great.
much. Thank you, Lillian. Thank you, Tanya. And Lyle, thanks for joining our meeting. I know that you were having some issues logging on, so good to have you on board with us. So we're running a little behind time, so we're going to have to just speed it up a bit. Next, we are going to turn it over to Lou Misselli from Jobs First. And this is what we believe in here in this commission. We believe in jobs first. So go for it, Lou.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Gav. So I'm here just to share a little bit about the work of the steering committee that got formed early winter this year. And the purpose of the steering committee is to help articulate a set of recommendations that would come from the industry commissions themselves, that would be presented to the chancellor and to others around both focused positive change and around building on and strengthening practices already in place with respect to the partnership between the industry commissions and public schools. So this committee was formed. It was formed right from the industry commission membership, school-based staff, New York City public school leadership, industry partners, post-secondary education providers, all convened together. There were 2 meetings. One was held in March and one was held in May. And as a consequence of those meetings, a set of recommendations and draft have been developed that will be shared with you subsequent to this meeting. So I just wanted to go through those quickly. First is building accelerated college and career pathways, sharing industry insights with New York City public school educators. Second is developing future talent, supporting student career exploration and readiness. Third is educator upskilling and professional development. Host or participate in training sessions to support educators. Be champions of New York City public school students and schools. Share insights on challenges with the Pathways Advisory Council. And then last is to strengthen the industry commissions themselves and the work they do, clarify roles, strengthen governance of the commissions themselves. So these are going through further refinement based on input from the May meeting, but these will be circulated in full draft to all of you shortly. There is going to be a presentation of these same findings to the Pathway Advisory Council, which is tomorrow. So that's what I've got. I'm going to hand it back to you, Gav.
Thank you so much, Lou. All right, any questions, comments for Lou or the Jobs First team before we move on? Hope everybody's doing okay. Some of you are kind of quiet, which I'm not really used to. So again, if you have any questions, comments, feel free to unmute, raise your hand, and also use the chat box. I know it's been a long school year, but this is a meeting where we welcome the open discussion. All right, thank you so much, Lou. Next, I'm going to turn it over to a few of our young people. Hopefully all of them are on. I think you guys are going to enjoy this. Do we have Isaiah Jiggets? Isaiah, are you here?
I'll flip it.
Okay, terrific. And your screen is totally blank. I don't know if you're hiding from the crowd, but that's okay as long as you are here participating. For reference, everyone remember, oh, there you are. Good to see you, Isaiah. I'm going to put you on spotlight in a few seconds. So one of the programs that the Office of Student Pathways has been managing over the years is our CTE driver education program. And I've talked with you, and various industry partners have also discussed this at length, that this is a very basic but a very necessary credential for various industries. And we've had, as of this year, more than 1,500 young people that we've been able to provide free driving instruction to. So I just want to give a big shout out to Reina and the rest of my colleagues for accomplishing this. Isaiah is one of our young people who participated in the program, and I wanted to give him a few minutes where he could just highlight his experience and just tell us more about how the program went for him. So Isaiah, we have a number of different stakeholders and business partners here, and this is a great opportunity for you to get your name out there. So I'm going to turn the mic over to you. Tell us more about the driver education program that you've participated in.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Isaiah Jiggets. I'm from Bronx Design and Construction Academy. And my main experience with driver's ed is it was a great opportunity for me because one of the main things I experience out in the field is people that are looking to hire you. The first thing they ask about is whether or not you have a license. They don't care whether they care about the skills that you have, but they always know that that's teachable. But if you have a license, then you become useful to them. So having driver's ed was a good opportunity for me because it was free for me to learn. The program gave me 15 lessons it was, and it was I had a good teacher the place I went. It was a great opportunity. I learned quick, and it's just one of the things I'm grateful for.
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
terrific. What do you plan? Do you have any specific career plans after high school where you're going to use the driver license?
Yeah, so my goal is to be a mechanic. My program I'm in is HVAC, and one of the main things we do is we have to get from point A to point B, and whether it be a building to go service a boiler or it could be somebody's house, and I have to be able to drive my own truck. So that's one of the things I'm going to be using for.
All right, excellent. Excellent. And I want to thank you so much, Isaiah, for taking the time out to speak to our audience. Is there anyone, any of our schools or industry partners that have any questions for Isaiah before we move on?
I have a question. I'm sorry, some of this is over my head, but is this something that's available to all schools? How do we implement this in our high schools?
Yes, great question. So some of these things I may have to defer to Raina, but for the time being, what we've tried to do is to prioritize our career and technical education programs that are preparing young people for specific industries where our employers have specifically asked for the driver license. So right now, for the time being, what we're doing is prioritizing the schools that have aviation, automotive, transit, and the construction trades. If there are plans to expand, I'm not sure of that right now, but I don't know if Raina, if you have any additional insight with that, but for the time being, we are just focusing on the transportation and construction trades.
Yeah, then just to piggyback off of what Gab is saying here, in addition to that resource, for the schools that are receiving the Career and Technical Education Work-Based Learning supplemental funding, that is a additional resource that your school has leeway on determining how you want to use. And part of that funding can be used towards driver's education if your school wants to use, or will be able to set up all the logistics for that. So you don't have to rely on us. That can be a way to find the company that's going to be best able to serve your students and get driver's education to your students. So that's another way to make sure you have access to your students have access.
I'll follow up with that. Can you just type the name of that funding in the chat so I can ask about it?
Yep.
Yep. Thank you so much, Raina. Do we have Joshua Bowman? Are you still with us, Joshua? Joshua, is that you with the family?
Yes.
Is that you with the Family Guy
I'm so
profile
sorry.
picture?
I'm trying to have the camera. I'm sorry, my camera's not working.
Actually, I
But
think that's American Dad, not Family Guy. Yeah, feel
yeah.
free to go
But
ahead.
yeah. The driver's ed and okay. Good afternoon. I'm Joshua Bowman. I'm a senior at George Westinghouse High School, and I went through the driver's ed program and I got my driver's license. It was a great opportunity because I wouldn't have my driver's license right now, and also I'm in construction skills. If you know what that is, I'm in construction skills currently, and a driver's license is a deal breaker. If you don't have one, you can't really get far in the industry. And also, I'm eligible for the MTA. And the MTA, you need a driver's license. So it was great. It really set me up. It was really a blessing for me to be able to have a driver's license before I even really get into the industry of construction, which I need a driver's license to get into. It was really a blessing. I wouldn't have the driver's license right now, and it honestly was a blessing that I have it. And then I got it quickly. The place where I went was Brooklyn Driving School. It was at Ditmas and 18th Avenue in Kensington, Brooklyn. And it was great. It was real great. The people there were great. It was honestly a blessing. And I hope everybody will get to share in this opportunity.
All right, thank you so much, Joshua. And to let the audience know, I did not pay Joshua or Isaiah to say any of these nice things. These are their own words. Next, Pride Joy. Are you with us, Pride? Pride Joy. Okay, Pride Joy has decided to take his pride and his joy to another meeting. Okay, we're going to move on. Next, we are going to hear from one of our very own, John Jastrzemski. One of the big things that I believe in as industry engagement manager is doing collaborative activities outside these commission meetings themselves. So many of you are on my outreach list, and you see that I send out a massive amount of communications that deal with school-based career days. And if you are in a situation where you're not quite ready to hire an intern, but you do want to collaborate with our school system, one of the relatively simpler things that you can get involved in is doing a career day. So I have with us my main man, John Jastrzemski. He's currently working and supporting William Grady CTE High School, and he was a member of our central office team as well. And we are going to turn the mic over to him as he's going to share some best practices when it comes to employer engagement and implementing career days. Go for it, JJ.
Hi, everybody. Great to see you. You know, Gav, I'm going to share my screen. I have two screens, so I hope it shares the right one. Let's take a look and see what happens. Maybe if you can just let me know if this works with a little thumbs up.
Yep, we see it.
Awesome. Okay, so let me go into mode, and I know we're pressed for time, so I'll be quick. Here we go. So we had a career day not too long ago, and it really was a great success because of what the outcomes were. So just coming out of the gate, what I discovered when we started planning was a little confusion about what a career day is and what it isn't. And I just want to reinforce the fact that it's not a career fair. So the purpose was not not the primary purpose, to try to have kids gain employment as a result of the event. Why do it? Well, I think for all the pedagogues on the meeting, you know the importance of motivation, and getting kids to want to learn makes it a lot easier for them to be successful. So the whole idea of connecting them with what they're learning and what's going to happen next is powerful. And I tell you, I mean, for a couple of weeks after that event, the energy level in the school was just vastly improved. Moreover, professionals want to be part of what you're doing and they want to help, but it's not so easy to make the connection and to give them a meaningful opportunity to contribute. So the career day does that. And it's also a way to just kind of break the ice. And if you have folks that you're trying, to get a relationship with, this is the perfect opportunity to bring them in. And then last but not least, for the students, and even in a CTE school like ours, for example, we realize the power of having the kids exposed to careers that they weren't thinking about. Okay, so who to invite? Of course, your industry professionals. I would just emphasize, if you're going to do it, don't overlook the people that are in non-traditional jobs. They were really appealing to the students. And do include career areas that you are not teaching about, just to broaden the field. Uniform services were terrific. DEP, FDNY, NYPD, alumni. Boy, oh boy, Grady, I had no idea what a tremendous network of alumni that existed that wanted to be a part of things that we were doing. So here we gave them an opportunity. Community organizations, the military. I was shocked to find that the Coast Guard pays this tremendous signing bonus. Who knew? Post-secondary, unions, city agencies, state agencies, and small businesses in the area all played a nice role. Okay, so this was the first time I was involved in running a career fair and a career day. And, I wasn't quite sure I knew, but after observing interactions with students, this is what we saw that they wanted to know, especially for jobs that they were interested in. How to get into the career, what kind of training, did they have to go to college? And some of the personal issues with the presenters, what does it take? What are some of the challenges? Of course, they're going to want to know about salaries, and they're very interested in learning about what life is like for people in these professions. The next couple of slides, I just want to kind of go through, and this really is for somebody who might be contemplating doing this. And if you're in a school, I strongly recommend that you do if you can. Okay, so what are your options? So the push-in option, where you have professionals will come in and go to classrooms, is an easy one to do. The problem and your enemy is disengaged students. And by popping into a classroom, if your students are not interested in what that speaker has to say, it's a tough 40 minutes or whatever. And also with the push-in, it's a little hard for you to connect with students who might be interested in a particular career area, because how many classrooms are you going to get to? We set up tables in our gym or a hall, and there are a lot of benefits to it. It's kind of easy to plan. You can expose a lot of students to the event, and students can decide for themselves where they want to go. But of course, you have to be able to identify in advance who's there and where they are. The problem, you have a large crowd of students. You don't have to tell you. You've got to manage that. And it's, the students don't know how valuable this opportunity is. So yes, I mean, we saw students walking around on their phone and hanging out with their friends. It's like, come on, you could do that later. They need to be told to do that. And wasn't so obvious to us that the scheduling really does require some expertise, because we ended up having some students come multiple times, and we did have some students that weren't able to make it. We didn't know. Having guest speakers present to a pre-selected audience. And the nice thing about this is relatively easy to do. And here the benefit is that students can self-select. And the kids who are interested in a particular speaker are really going to pay attention and be involved. And some of the speakers don't want to have like a soundbite opportunity where they can only talk for a couple of minutes. They have a story they want to tell, and here you can give them 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or what have you. The downside here is that it's going to be limit the number of students that are going to be involved. And we made a decision. We did not want 300 students sitting in a lecture hall hearing a speaker. We wanted the interaction to be intimate. So hybrid, it looks like what we will do for next year, and try to pick some of what worked, and probably the hall and the guest speakers. Just some quick tips if you are going to have the career day planning early. We are already planning. We've got the date picked for next year. Having a single point of contact, very easy to have people making arrangements with different people in the school that aren't involved in the fair, and the person organizing finds out at the last minute, not so good. Preparing students for the experience, giving them some questions, doing some assignments in advance to kind of keep them, give them a reason to be there. The presenters who showed up and set up little like vignettes and brought swag was amazing. And the union, I think it was the Sheet Metal Workers Union, boy, they just hit a home run, and the kids loved it. Taking photos, videos to promote it before and after a good thing. Just a reminder that professionals maybe haven't done this before. They're not exactly sure what you want them to share with students, so prepping them in advance is helpful. And the nice thing about this affair for us was that we had over 40 professionals there, and we now had an opportunity to establish a relationship with them, planning out how we could work together, giving them a chance to see what we were doing so they could make recommendations to us. I mean, it was a tremendous win-win. Very quickly, also just to be prepared for no-shows, which, is inevitable. Quick lessons learned, plan early, the scheduling errors, I talked about that. We had students attend too much and some not at all. Having as much of faculty and staff involved as possible is a good thing. Giving folks an opportunity to be engaged, not just the committee doing it, and also to be mindful of special needs and 504 students. So you know what, every time you do it a little bit better. Gav has contact information for me if you don't know how to reach. If anybody's planning it, if you have questions, anything I can do to assist, it would be my pleasure. Gav, I want to take this opportunity to thank you. You're doing like the career day for the entire city all at once. And this is exactly, I mean, you were my inspiration for doing this, Gav. And by the way, this is the guy you want to call if you're doing that career day. Your help was just lights out, Gav. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, JJ. Any questions or comments for John before we move on? All right.
All right.
So John had a slide there where if for the schools in the audience, if you're doing a career day, you want to invite the unions, the for-profits, the military, the small businesses, the large businesses, the city agencies. But what do you do in a situation if the school doesn't have those connections? If there was only a handsome brown guy in central office that could reach out and help. We'll probably work on that later. All right. Thank you so much, John Jastrzemski, for everything that you do. And next up, we have one of our fantastic industry partners, Imani Council Reed. She is the Director for Talent and Workforce Development with the Manufacturing and Industrial Innovation Council, where she leads their talent and workforce portfolio, including career launching and career exploration programming. Imani has over 10 years of experience in the workforce development sector with a special interest in New York's industrial industry. It is my pleasure to turn it over to none other than Imani Council Reed. Go for it, Imani.
Thanks so much, Gav. How you doing today, guys? I see a bunch of familiar faces, but for those who don't know me, like Gav said, my name is Imani Council Reed. I'm the Director of Talent and Workforce Development for the Manufacturing and Industrial Industry Partnership with the Mayor's Office of Talent. So I have a little deck to go through with you guys here. I really wanted to talk to you guys today actually about one of our programs called Inside Industrial. Some of you have partnered with us on this program, so you're pretty familiar with it, but for those who aren't, give me 5 minutes. So MAKE is a mayoral industry partnership, and we support the resilience and growth of New York City's manufacturing and industrial industry throughout the 5 boroughs. And we do that through a few ways. So organizing technology and innovation, policy and regulation, and talent and workforce. I lead our talent and workforce portfolio. We define the industrial sector as manufacturing, transportation and logistics and distribution, infrastructure and waste management services, as well as green building and construction. A little bit about the industrial industry and why it's so important is that industrial jobs pay more than twice the average wage of hospitality and retail, and it's a great wealth building pathway to middle class, and industrial activities are central to city function and resiliency. The industrial industry is also like vital to innovation in the city. So it's fundamental to bringing those new ideas and designs to life. And many of the urban climate change solutions come directly from the industrial sector. So as we were talking to a lot of the industrial businesses that we work with about some of the challenges they have with being in New York City, a lot of them talked about their issues with talent. They have a hard time with sourcing talent. A lot of people are retiring and they're like, we need more young people to come into this industry, and we weren't really sure why we weren't getting the young people going into the industrial industry. So we figured, well, let's go ask them. So we did a bunch of focus groups with New York City public school students and asked them, like, what do you think when you hear the industrial industry? And we got a lot of very interesting responses. We had students saying things like, oh, do you mean like the Industrial Revolution? You know, I heard that kids would get their fingers cut off and factories are dirty and things like that. So we really wanted to change their perspective, because as we all know, that's not the reality of what the industrial industry is in New York City in 2024. So in 2023, we launched a program called 2020, we launched a program in the pandemic called Inside Industrial that partnered with New York City public school students. And during that time, because it was the pandemic, we did a lot of things virtually. So we hosted panels and virtual tours for industrial businesses and business owners to come in and talk about the work that they do in the city. They gave tours of their shop spaces. They talked about the different career pathways and different jobs and opportunities that were available in their shops. And after that, we surveyed the students again, and we really saw a change in their tune and how they thought about the industry. We had students asking about apprenticeships available in the shop workshop spaces. They were really excited about the ways that the industrial industry and tech cross paths. It was some like a lot of them were really amazed. And because of how interested students were in 2020, we have since expanded the program to doing in-person tours. So now we're doing in-person tours of different industrial spaces, different industrial businesses, training facilities throughout the city. And we're also connecting students through panels and different events to really showcase the reality of what these career pathways and what this industry looks like in the city. We wanted to highlight a couple of the partners who we've worked with. So one of our partners is the local 3 IBEW union. So we've taken quite a few students to their electrical industry training center out in Long Island City, and the students love it. They're able to tour the facility, which if you guys haven't been, it is absolutely amazing. So they're able to tour the city, learn about the benefits of being in the union. They learned the last couple of tours we had there, we had somebody come in and speak about offshore wind and the changes that it's going to make in the industrial industry and how it's going to change how we get electricity. Students were really interested in like the wind turbines that are being built offshore. They were able to do a VR activity to see what maintaining some of those turbines might look like if they were interested in getting into that career pathway. They were also able to do some hands-on activities where they tinkered around with like circuits. They talked to some of the electrical apprentices that were on site. They talked to some of the instructors and really learned like what it would mean for them to be a unionized electrician in New York City. And we had, not only were the students really interested and excited about it, the instructors were super interested and excited about it. And we have schools emailing us all the time now, like, can we be the next school that you could take over to IBEW? So it was something that the students really, really enjoyed. We also recently partnered with Sprague Operating Resources and the Trucking Association of New York City, of New York, they go by TANI, to take some students over to visit their facility where they focus on transporting green energy around the city. So students were able to get a little bit more into like transportation, green energy transition. They were able to tour the labs where they make some of this cleaner fuel, see how the trucks are powered up. Tanny brought out a trucking simulator where students were able to hop in and see what it would be like to be a truck driver. They were able to, they call it a truck side view. It's a gamified simulator where students are able to get in and drive a truck. And they really love that. We had students engaging in that activity. They were able to talk to the maintenance crew for the trucks. They were able to talk to the facilities managers. They were able to see how do you get this different type of energy into these big trucks for them to be delivered around the city. We were able to go out to the barge to see how some of the energy comes in across the water. And students were really excited. We even had some students asking like, could they possibly do summer internships there? It was a wonderful opportunity. And it really like opened the door for students to learn about some things that they, or see some things hands-on that they possibly wouldn't have been able to in a classroom. So we are really excited about next school year. So next school year, we plan to expand Inside Industrial a little bit. Instead of doing a field trip a few times a year, we plan to partner with businesses in the city and New York City public schools to do a trip once a month next school year, where we'll offer out the dates to the public schools at the beginning of the year, and they'll reach out to me and we'll be able to schedule them for a tour once a month to different facilities across the city. We're also going to start expanding our tours to not just industrial businesses and training facilities. They're also going to start going to facilities that showcase how the systems, how systems work in New York City that keep the city functioning. So think Department of sanitation, think water treatment facilities and things like that, where students will be able to see like how these things actually work to make our city function. All of our tours do have a hands-on activity so students can get like the reality of what these careers and what this work actually looks like. And it's really exciting for all of them. So I'm excited to tell you guys about it. We are also always open to if there's any businesses or facility directors on the line who'd like to offer up their space and thinks it would be cool for some students to come and tour. You're welcome to email us and reach out and get on our calendar for next year. Gav is really good about providing us with students. And the keeping it relevant to what they're learning in school. So we're really excited. I was really excited to come and tell you guys about that today. And if anybody has any questions, I'm available. I can also keep an eye on the chat. I know that we're kind of short on time. So yeah, thanks everybody for listening.
Thanks so much, Imani. Any questions for Imani before we move on?
Imani, I'm going to direct message you.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, thank you. And Imani, you can't go wrong with a last name like Reed. Imani is at the forefront of the Industrial Revolution 4.0. So thanks for everything that you do, Imani, for our students. Next up, we have a 15-year member of Local 45, where he started as an apprentice, winning the Golden Hammer competition. Some of you may have heard about the Golden Gloves. This guy has the Golden Hammer. All right, he quickly rose to foreman and then general foreman in the field before being tapped to apply to become a union representative. Now he's with the district council going on 6 years, where he covers everything south of the Grand Central and Nassau and Suffolk counties for floor covering. His zone includes the largest infrastructure project, not just in New York, not just in the United States, but on planet Earth. We're talking about the JFK project, which comes up to 19, not million, but $billion in work. It is my pleasure to present to you Michael White. Go for it, Mike. You are still muted. Unmute.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate that. Afternoon, everybody. Hell of an introduction. I do appreciate that very much. Like Jeff said, I'm a business agent, but originally what I started as was a first-year apprentice, and that entailed a lot of hard work, a lot of training that was done somewhat on site, but I have to give credit to our amazing school. Some of you have taken your students there and done tours there during that Golden Hammer competition, and you see how hard those guys are working, guys and girls are working throughout that entire day, all the displays that we put out. And that all starts originally back in 1900 when we were founded. And that was due to all the accidents and loss of the weekend and working without overtime and all these fights that we just keep fighting over years and hundreds of years at this point to ensure not only worker safety, but worker skill. And that skill and the safety training starts at our school. So as a first-year apprentice, you have to pick one of our multiple pathways of careers. We have 7 different trades that we cover. A lot of people, when they think of carpentry, think of just walls and ceilings and doors and cabinets and stuff like that, right? But we do have these other specialties. So if you may not be interested in something like framing and sheetrock, you may be interested in becoming a millwright. Our millwrights will install turbines, hydroelectric or nuclear turbines, all the offshore wind turbines. That's going to be our millwrights. They also do all the conveyor systems at the airport and at food processing plants. Some of our millwrights in the UBC even work for NASA, which is pretty cool. We have floor covers that will put down athletic surfaces like gym floors and turf field tracks to your standard VCT tile and sheet goods inside of kitchens. Then we have our cabinet makers, which will work typically in one shop for their entire career. Well, they will build the things that we can't physically build on site. They'll pack it up and ship it out to a guy like me who did interior systems. And then I would install the cabinets that these guys handmade and put together in the field. Our dock builders will drive piles into the ground. These guys are really the unsung heroes of what makes New York City stand so tall. Right? To put a mega structure onto the ground as big as we do in New York City requires those piles. These are big, heavy steel beams that get slammed into the ground until they reach bedrock, or you put enough frequency of them using mathematical principles and the soil composition that will hold the ground in place enough to put these large structures on, right? So if you want to put a building down at the beach on the sand and not have it wash away, the dock builders have to get in there and drive those piles into the sand to make sure the foundation doesn't erode away with the beach. The timbermen will do all your sidewalk sheds and scaffolding. They'll also do securing of excavation for shoring. So everything, as we know in New York City, runs underground, right? All your electric, your gas, your sewer, and it all needs to be maintained constantly. So when they dig those pipes out, the ground needs to be secured so it doesn't fall in on the workers that are doing the other work. So the timberman will cut big timbers slam them into the ground and brace and short and cross brace and short to make sure nothing falls in on anyone else. Mill rates we covered already. Interior systems are going to be broken down. General carpentry gets broken down into interior systems and heavy highway. So all your roads, your bridges, foundation work, that's going to be your heavy / highway work. We're the vast majority for your traffic. I do apologize, but we are also the vast majority for why your bridges and roadways don't collapse and they actually get improved on. Right now, we're currently widening the Van Wyck Expressway. We're at fixing 6 bridges on Grand Central Parkway and 8 more bridges on the Belt Parkway. All those things need to get rehabbed. Those bridges are quite old and it's time to rehash them. So new concrete, new steel, new stuff like that. Then we're going to run into our 212 guys. They are the high-rise concrete carpenters. Every single tall building in Manhattan is not strictly made out of steel. There is steel in it, but if you were to make a high-rise building out of just steel beams, it would actually snap because the wind shear alone would be too much for that long span for the steel to not break. So all your top big buildings, not only in New York City, but in the world, are made out of reinforced concrete. And our high-rise concrete guys are the ones that build the forms for your horizontal decks and your vertical columns. And then every 3 days is typically their cycle where they will jump a new skyscraper floor. It's pretty fast-paced work. Each one of these trades comes with their own separate pay scale. The beauty of it is you're going to go to that school in Manhattan where we're going to teach you not only the basics, but we're going to teach you safety. We're going to teach you proper work etiquette, how to work professionally in a construction field. And then we put our money where our mouth is. So starting as a third-year apprentice, we fly all our apprentices out to Las Vegas, where our international training center is. It's a 1.2 million square foot state-of-the-art training facility where they're going to do their first trip in extended training. And once they graduate, they're going to fly out 2 more times for more training, more advanced training. If you become a foreman, you do foreman's training out there, general foreman's training out there. If you get promoted to be a super for a company or even start your own company, one of my buddies who I was in the Army with, he ended up starting his own door and hardware company. We flew his company out. This is the type of training that we're going to put into our members. So any new apprentice that wants to apply, you know you're in good hands. You know that you're going to be well trained. And the application process is actually quite simple. Back in the day, you used to, quote unquote, have to know somebody to get into the union. Right now, second Wednesday of every month, if you are down at our school, orientation starts at 9. The line typically starts about 1 a.m. So pack a snack for breakfast, get there early. If you make orientation, you watch orientation, you get a code to apply, and then you apply. It's that simple. It's a point scaled structure. So things like education are going to be points. Work history is going to be points. So make sure you have at least a part-time job. Construction experience, or if you go to a construction high school, is going to be more points. So the more points you get, the faster you will get called for your application. If you do not have work experience or construction experience, that is okay as well. What I recommend you guys do is apply for our Building Works program. That is our own pre-apprenticeship program we run that is separate from the apprenticeship school itself. It runs about 6 weeks, where we're going to teach you the basics to give you that little bit of construction experience and skill, safety, material names, safe handling practices. And then you get direct entry into our apprenticeship program without doing the orientation and all that jazz. Right? So there's a number of opportunities to get in. Fairly easy to get in. It's just going to depend on the point system and how fast you accrue those points. So go out there, get some experience and some jobs and some work, and then come see us. It only takes 3 months of work to qualify for health insurance. That's vision, dental, medical coverage. And every year you get a pay raise from first year through 4th year. Then 10,000 hours later, you qualify to be a certified journey person. That's making over $100 an hour with your benefits. Right? We get vacation checks every 3 months. We retire at 55 with a pension and an annuity. It's a double-tier retirement system. We're one of the last private organizations that still have pensions. Is it hard work? Absolutely. It's hot when it's hot. It's cold when it's cold. Everything in between, wet, dry. But you work hard. You get a skill that no one can ever take away from you. And you get to have this brother and sisterhood called the union. And we will be your family for the rest of your life.
All right, excellent. This sounds very, very fascinating, Michael. We have a lot of shy people who are private messaging me instead of unmuting, but some folks are wondering, are you open to visiting our schools where you can talk to our staff members and students directly about the information you're giving us?
So I did, and that's where I met you, Gab, is doing school visits. I have a PowerPoint presentation that I typically will run. It runs about 35 minutes where I cover all of that information more in detail. And I can also do tables. Typically, I will do any school that is in Queens or Long Island. And then the other boroughs, the reps that handle that area will take care of those boroughs. And I can absolutely put you guys in touch if you're not a school or a program in Queens.
All right, excellent. And considering that we are in the month of June, there are a number of young people that they may be interested in applying for the Carpenters Union. So what do you suggest they do? Should they just show up to the location in Manhattan? Is there a website they need to visit first? Like what should we direct our graduating students to do if they're interested in applying for the Carpenters Union?
So your second Wednesday in July is going to be the next application. It's 395 Hudson Street. And if you feel you have the experience as far as the points and the construction experience, especially if you did a summer job as a helper like I did, which will give you those construction points, just go. Just go the second Wednesday and apply. You will have the points. You will be fine. If you feel you need to do the Building Works program, buildingworks395@gmail.com. Just shoot an email asking for an application. Fill it out, send it back in. Once you get selected, you're off to the races.
All right, excellent. And I'll be sure to email everybody in attendance about the address and the email where your students can reach out. And one final question, Michael, are there any particular documents that our students should be showing up with? Resume, IDs, any particular thing that they need to show up with in order to apply?
So you're going to need your driver's license and your social security card. We do I-9 verify, and that's due to our, we have a federal monitor that makes sure that we keep everything fair and on the up and up. Our school is also in partnership with the Department of Labor. So we do have federal guidelines we have to follow, and you must either have U.S. citizenship or the right to work within the U.S.
All right, terrific. All right, thank you so much, Michael. Any other questions, concerns before we move on?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
Want to ask Michael, you mentioned points. If a student is not necessarily specifically in a carpentry program, but they're in a building trades like electrical and plumbing, would they earn points for that if they're applying for Carpenters Union?
Absolutely. Just working at Carvel will get you points. We want to see people that have at least a bit of work history, just because we know that stepping from no job to this job is quite the leap.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Trisha. Thank you, Michael. All right. Next we are going to turn it over to one of my countrymen. He's a fellow Yardie, Michael Yee. He's the director of the Educational and Cultural Trust Fund of the electrical industry. In that role, he administers this collectively bargained trust fund that provides education benefits for the industry's 28,000 IBEW Local 3 workforce. He works with a team of 200 instructors and administrative staff to implement courses that enhance the technical skills of Local 3 members, utilizing over 200,000 square feet of space in the fund's 3 facilities to expedite ENC's continuing education mission. And what I like most about Michael is that many career days, many conferences, many events, I always see him there. So he's a man where he is very much involved in our school system and always trying to push forth the industry and making sure that our schools are well aware of the opportunities that they can provide for their young people. So Michael, it is a pleasure to have you a part of our commission meeting today, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Gav. And yeah, it was great to connect with you the other day and for us to find out that we're both from Jamaica and
Yeah.
share a little time about our heritage.
Oh, by the way, Michael, before you continue, I saw both of us on the news the other day when Kathy Hochul came to that press conference. Yeah, there's a brief shot of us there. So I want to thank also Michael for giving me that opportunity to get this wider exposure beyond these commission meetings. So thanks, Mike.
I don't think it was me that got you on TV, but that was great. And yeah, my remarks are going to be kind of short, but because I know we're pressed for time, because Imani gave a great raving review about our training center. I know Jimmy Orban is on here as well. Jimmy is the administrator for the apprenticeship program at the training center, the daytime program, and he does a fantastic job over there. In my role as the director for the continuing ed program, we get involved in quite a bit of programs with the school system. One of them that we're engaged in right now is about offshore wind orientation. And Amani talked a little about the VR goggles and the program that we're doing. We were fortunate to have been selected and won a grant from Equinor through their ecosystem fund. And it allowed us to develop an offshore wind orientation using VR. And I'm just going to quickly share the screen with you that I have a quick 30 seconds. It kind of gives you a sense of the program that we use.
Take a look. I hope you're ready for something awesome. Here is the full-size version. Turbines like this can be over 500 feet tall. How about that for energy conservation? Teleport over to me by pressing and holding up on the right thumbstick, targeting this yellow point and then releasing. Now it's time to show you what a professional technician might do on a day-to-day basis to maintain this type of clean energy. Teleport again on this portal, and we'll be transported to the dock.
So that was just a quick snippet of what the young people get exposed to. And Amani, I know, used them as well, and she was able to climb up 500 feet to the top of the turbine and get to see what it is to work at that height, work out on the ocean, take the crew transfer vessel from the port out to the wind farm, and see if you have some sea legs. You actually do feel like you're rocking with the motion of the boat. So it's a great exposure, great orientation program for young people, giving them an idea of the things that are coming into New York City, the work opportunities coming into New York City. Local 3 and the IBW, along with all of the other building trades, are engaged in the offshore wind industry and are excited about the opportunities that this was going to give to the next group, next generation of our workers. So we're open to coming to the schools, or as Amani said, having them come to our training center, do the VR program. Also, if they do come to the training center, gives them the opportunity to walk around, see what goes into our apprenticeship program, and the work that they get exposed to and learn about the trades to become the very best qualified electricians out there in New York City. So Gav has my contact information. You can also go get it through Imani. She's been arranging various high schools and middle schools for them to come down to tour our facility. I don't know if you noticed that character that we use for the VR. His name is Serge. We actually had a comic book that was developed probably over a decade ago. And the VR developers just took that and made them into a VR to help the kids learn about the world of offshore wind. So we have a bunch of comic books. If you have any elementary school contacts that you'd like us to get those into their hands, we're glad to do that. So Gab, thank you for the opportunity to be here with you, and turn it back over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. And before we continue, we did get one question. Some of our guests are wondering which VR provider, which virtual reality provider are you using?
So Vinci VR, they have developed stuff for Siemens Gamesa, who's one of the offshore wind turbine manufacturers. There's only three that would, the biggest ones. That's Siemens Gamesa, Vestas, and GE. So they have a relationship with Siemens Gamesa. We have other modules that the kids can go up inside the turbine and actually do preventive maintenance on the turbines. So.
All right, terrific. Thank you, Michael. Any questions, comments for Michael before we continue? All right, thank you for joining us, Michael.
Absolutely.
Next up, we have Robert Zandi. I met him at our citywide maritime career fair. A lot of our young people thought he was the guy from the Dark Knight Batman movies. And we had to say that, no, that's not him, but he is just as important. Robert Zandi, he's the Assistant Director of Renewable Energy Programs at Kingsborough Community College, and he's the Lead Director of the Offshore Wind Advisory Network, which is a consortium of 4 CUNY schools. Over the years, he has worked on developing, implementing, running, and overseeing a plethora of renewable energy conservation, ecological restoration, sustainability technology projects, programs, and classes, and has worked for organizations such as the San Francisco Department of Environment, that's where I married my second wife, the Golden Gate National Parks Conservancy, and the Campus Center for Appropriate Technology at Cal Poly Humboldt, and the CUNY Research Foundation. And it is my pleasure to have him join us today, because when I met him at the pier, he had so much wealth of content and resources that will help our schools keep up to date with the offshore wind industry. So thank you for joining us, Robert. Feel free to unmute.
Big up, Gav. Thank you so much for the opportunity and the invite. Michael, it's good to see you again as well. Yeah, it's a pleasure to see so many new faces. I'm happy to share some information on our programs and projects. I have a quick presentation to share with you guys. As Gav said, I'm from Kingsborough Community College. We're located here on Sheepheads Bay, overlooking Jamaica Bay and Sheepheads Bay. So we are a maritime college, amongst other things. We specialize in maritime trainings. We have a bunch of vessels and a lot of training related to offshore wind programs as well. I'm with the Kingsborough Continuing Education and Workforce Development Department. So I will share my presentation, just one moment. All right, you guys can see it okay?
Yes, sir.
Awesome, thank you. All right. So today I'm going to be presenting on our offshore wind trainings and programs, as well as the CUNY Offshore Wind Advisory Network and the Bridges to Offshore Wind presentation that we're providing. To start off, some of the programs that we're offering at Kingsborough, we have an Intro to Welding for Offshore Wind Energy Careers. It prepares students with all the skills and trainings needed to pass the American Welders Society Certified Welders exam, and opens up a world of opportunity for a career in welding. They can go into automotive, they could go into fabrication, manufacturing. If they're able to take their 3G and 4G certification, they could go into constructions for buildings as well. Typically, it's a 15-week program. We're having 12 to 15 students per cohort. The next class starts in fall of 2024. They learn a wide variety of different types of welding, as well as some methods and concepts that are used for offshore wind welding, such as submerged arc welding and underwater welding as well. One of the amazing things about this program is it's completely free for students, so everything is paid for. They get free Metro cards, lunch on Saturdays during welding labs, and then we also pay for them to take the American Welder Society Certified Welders exam. Next up, we have another amazing program. It's called the Maritime Technology Apprenticeship Program. It's a 4-year program where students learn as they earn. So they actually get a free degree from the program and they get an apprenticeship job. They get the Department of Labor Certified Journeyman title if they complete the program, and they also get a degree in maritime technology. If anybody's interested in any of these programs, please just reach out after the presentation, and either I or somebody else will be able to connect you with the process for getting onboarded. Next up, we have an amazing partnership with the Seafarers International Union, who's the largest North American union for merchant mariners. And we have a very unique opportunity for both credit and non-credit students. Today, I'm going to just talk about our non-credit pathway, which is the unlicensed apprenticeship pathway. But basically, we at Kingsborough reimburse the cost for the students to meet all of the requirements to go ahead and participate in this program. So that includes them getting their passport, their transportation workers identification credential, taking their initial drug test, also their dental exam, Coast Guard physical, and then travel to the Piney Point Seafarers International Union headquarters. So once they get into the program, they basically study for 16 weeks and do the basic training at Piney Point for SIU. And then they're automatically a part of the union. They get shipped off to their first assignment, and they start accruing benefits and also vacation and all the good stuff. And they also start getting pay after the 16 weeks of training, averaging about $6,000 a month to start. Once they finish with their first assignment, they can come back and level up their credentials. If they wanted to, eventually they could actually be a boat captain. Once they enter the program, they get to choose if they want to be a deckhand, if they want to be a work in the galley, which is basically like the kitchen of the boat, or work in the engine room. And then they can continue to level up their training and their skills through that. Next up, we have a partnership with CWE, the Consortium for Workers Education, through HRA. It's a deckhand training here at Kingsborough College. It's depending on the cohort, it's a month and a half to 2 months long. This as well is completely paid for. But students that enroll in this program will learn to launch, dock, repair, and maintain ships. And they get a wide variety of trainings during the program. They actually are able to get a free TWIC card. They get a deckhand training certificate, their food handler certificate, fire training certificate. They also get a Bridges to Offshore Wind presentation specializing in maritime careers. And then once they complete the program, we connect them with one of our employer partners to get them their first job in one of the NYC waterways as companies as a deckhand. Coming up in the fall, we have the GWO training, Global Wind Organization, basic safety training. So this is similar to OSHA for the ocean. Everybody's familiar with OSHA. It's for construction, but this is for the offshore wind industry. It's the standard for safety training. But yeah, basically people are going to be able to learn first aid, working at heights, manual handling, fire awareness, and sea survival. This program will also be free for students. Next up, I'm talking about the CUNY Offshore Wind Advisory Network. That's long for OWAN, and the Bridges to Offshore Wind presentations that are being provided. So the CUNY Offshore Wind Advisory Network is a consortium between 4 CUNY schools. It's us at Kingsborough. We have the College of Staten Island, New York City Tech, and then LaGuardia Community College. So each one of us is basically going around to different CBOs, environmental justice and disadvantaged community organizations, other schools, and community centers to give either a 2-hour or a 12-hour presentation on a wide variety of things related to offshore wind workforce. So we let people know about the basic science and the history of offshore wind energy. What is that looking like? What's the history? It goes back as far as 7,000 years ago. They were using they were using wind energy in ancient Egypt. And then we talk about what's going on now, what the science is for that. We also talk about a timeline, workforce gap analysis, and then we talk about all the projects going on across America. As everybody can see in this slide here, a majority of these projects are happening off the coast of New York. So, we're just trying to educate the community about not only what is it, but what's happening, what's coming up, and the wide variety of jobs that are available. We also really stress to people, if you don't like being on the water, that's all good. There's lots of jobs that are based on land where you never have to touch the sea. So in the presentation, we go into much deeper depth regarding each of the different main categories of careers. We give people an idea of what it takes to get those jobs, what are those educational requirements looking like, and then what they can anticipate for pay. Again, there's a 2-hour and more of a 12-hour presentation. And then we're giving them to other schools, CBOs, and other organizations as well. I'm going to share a website link with you in just a minute. I know we're short on time, so I'm going to breeze through this, but another amazing thing about the Offshore Wind Advisory Network is each 4 of these community schools is providing unique trainings related to offshore wind energy workforce development. So if you go on the website, you'll be able to see all of this, but each one of the schools has a breakdown on the website about each of the offerings, programs, degrees, and apprenticeship programs they have. Here's some stuff about Kingsborough, LaGuardia, College of Staten Island, and then City Tech. But I will insert the link in the meeting comments here. And also just wanted to give everybody a heads up that in the fall of 2024, we're revising and updating the Bridges to Offshore Wind program to provide it specifically to high school students throughout NYC and parts of Long Island. So if you guys want one of these in the fall semester for your school, please feel free to reach out and get on the schedule early. You can also reach out later down the road. If you guys can think of any of your students who would benefit from any of these programs, please feel free to connect them to me or send them to the website that I'll plug into the chat. Under each of the schools, there's a contact and a representative for each of those schools. And that's about it. There's the website in general, posted in the chat as well. Just want to say thanks, Gab, big respect and gratitude for the opportunity, and blessings to each and every one.
Yeah. Outstanding information, Robert. I really, really appreciate you. Some of the folks are asking for your contact info, so if you want to share that, feel free to drop that in the chat box. And as a reminder, at the end of all of these meetings, I stay right here in the office and I make sure to type up everything that you need to know, all the content that you need to know. I know it's a lot of information dump here, but I try to be all things to everyone. So I thank you for everybody that's still here in the meeting. I'll be sure to share all of this information with you. So just be sure to check your emails. All right, next up, Sean Gazala. He is a community organizer with a focus on serving New York City youth and people of color. Sean is currently the coalition director of Youth Wins, which is a coalition dedicated to meaningful employment for 16 to 24-year-olds on Staten Island. Sean obtained his master's in public administration at Baruch and his master's of arts and labor studies at CUNY School of Labor and Urban Studies. He's also the co-founder of Plea for the Fifth. Now, he's not pleading the fifth today because he's on the agenda, and I'm going to ask him to unmute and speak to our guest today. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you all for having me. I am going to share slides, but be very brief out of respect for folks following me. This was a great meeting, and I'm so glad to be a guest and hope to continue attending. So, as Gav mentioned, I am representing the Youth Wins Coalition. We're on Staten Island. We've been around for 10 years, but really gaining momentum more recent years. And we're dedicated to supporting 16 to 24-year-olds. We're a coalition of about 11 or so community-based organizations that do various workforce provision with young adults, but also other organizations that don't directly serve young adults, but are have an interest in seeing our young adults succeed. So I said we got some momentum in recent years. That's because our coalition received some funding from NYCERDA. That's the state level agency around clean energy. I'm presuming based on previous presenters that y'all might already have a sense of our state's commitment to greenhouse emission reductions by like 2050. That means the young adults that we're all serving today, some of those young adults need to begin entering this emerging sector. And so our role on Staten Island is to get young adults more aware of these careers and get them excited to begin exploring and entering these careers. So to that end, we're holding a green energy symposium in September. September 26th, that's a Thursday. That's during New York City Climate Week. We've rented out Ferry Hawk Stadium, which is minor league baseball stadium right by the St. George Ferry. So it's fairly accessible to our other boroughs, about as accessible as can be, considering it's the fifth borough. We're right next to the fast ferry and the free St. George ferry, and there's a train nearby. We also have prepaid for parking for some of our providers, because we want to eliminate as many barriers as we can to ensure that young adults from the city can join us. Any vendors in the meeting today, we'd also love to have you there as well. I'm gonna drop in the chat my personal email, or rather my email, the link to register for the event if you'd like to RSVP for your young adults in advance of the new year coming. And also the link to register as a vendor to table for that day. Lastly, I'll just mention the Ferry Hawks has been a great partner for us and has provided baseball tickets. So the first 100 folks that RSVP for the event will be providing baseball tickets to them to attend a baseball game early next school year. And lastly, we'll have free lunch for the young adults. I know that's also important for them and for all of us. We need to eat. So, again, we want to eliminate any barriers to entry. So please join us if you're able. And thanks so much for the time.
Thanks for your presentation, Sean. This is stupendous information, and consider yourself a member of our commission going forward, because a lot of this content is very, very useful for our school. So I thank you. All right, next we are going to turn it over to Tim Hayduck. He is no stranger to us. He teaches in all of the Center for Architecture's K through 12 programs, with special expertise in high school programs and those focusing on New York City's history. He works with the center's tour program for adult audiences and conducts walk-in tours. He studied architecture at Pratt Institute and began teaching at the Center for Architecture in 2003. His devotion to modern architecture informs his interest in traveling, architectural publications, and photography. And between me and you, I've been trying to cajole him to come over to the DOE side so he can teach some architecture and design for us. And it's a pleasure to see you again, Tim. Go for it.
Well, thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you fine.
Okay, perfect. All right, I'm going to share my screen. Thank you again for having me in the Center for Architecture. And let's make sure I have the right. There we go. All right, so I'm just doing a little website screen share. I will also include links to the things that we'll see. I'm going to make this very brief, but we do serve K through 12 audiences, and we often go into schools. We do in-school residency programs, but what I want to focus on are the high school programs that we offer. So on our site, we do have a number of teen programs. Some of the programs we don't have dates for because they're things that are scheduled for next year. But one thing I want to start with is our our Architecture and Design College Fair. We do have a date for that, scheduled for October 19th, 2024, and it's a Saturday. And I believe we owe a lot to Gav for advertising this and getting a tremendous number of citywide students and sometimes teachers to come to the college fair. Over the last few years, we've been able to grow this, and this is just this is a list of schools that have participated. Over 40 schools have participated, but normally we have between 30 and 35 based on the fact that we're not a huge facility. But here's just some images of some of the schools presenting and the students. It's free. We really encourage teachers to come as well if they can bring their students. I work with the High School of Art and Design from time to time, and some of the teachers will actually take a few hours out of their Saturday to bring students. It's really a great opportunity. It's also wonderful for the students to talk with the representatives. They really do want to hear from the kids. They're very, very excited to come to New York because of the caliber of students that we have here in New York City. So, you know, we feel very strongly about doing this program. And again, if there's any way that you can get the word out, so you know, we just have more, you know, it's just a great free program, and you know, we don't really benefit much from it, other than we just feel really strongly that it's a great way for students to learn about careers in architecture and design. I'm also going to share, go back to another program that has been successful. And again, I do believe that because Gav has been able to send the word out to schools all around the city, our Discover Architecture program, which we run during February break. Last year we were able to accept 22 students, and now we've been able to accept 40 students. We're hoping that it'll grow. We had over 100 students apply. There is an application process. We love for students to show a portfolio if they can. It's a free program that places students in architectural firms for 3 days during the February break. We do an orientation beforehand. It's usually the week before. The students are placed for the 3 days, and then we have a sort of a wrap-up time here at the center, and we also do a little design charrette with the students. So it's a really great opportunity, and we have been able to work with the schools so that students can get CTE credits for attending. So again, it's free. There is a little bit of an application process, but that alone, I think, is a really great opportunity for students to, you know, collect their work, collect their thoughts, and hopefully get in. And I just want to mention a few other things. We do have team workshops. Unfortunately, again, we don't have dates set yet for next year, but we will be running those on Saturdays. They aren't free, but we do have scholarships for those programs. So probably in the fall, we'll have all of those dates ready for everybody. If you are interested in just learning more about what's happening here at the center, especially the K through 12 programs, please sign up for our website, and you'll get an email from us. We don't overburden you with information, but we do want to keep you in touch. So Gav, again, thank you very much, and I'm going to put those links in the chat, and if anybody has any questions too, maybe you can leave those in the chat as well. All right, and I will stop sharing.
Terrific. Terrific. Thank you so much, Tim. Jacqueline Wallace, thanks for staying with us. I wanted to turn the floor over to her. She is one of our newest members of our commission, and she is playing an integral part, being one of our liaisons to the MTA. So, Jacqueline, I'm going to turn the mic over to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Gav. I appreciate you inviting me to the meeting. I'm really excited to join and just learn. There's so much great information that's been shared already. But again, you introduced me. I am the Senior Manager of Emerging Talent here at the MTA. I have over 10 years of experience. I have over 10 years of experience in career services working on the trade school side. So I'm very, very familiar from that aspect. And I'm very passionate about supporting students and getting them in front of these opportunities that they would not necessarily have. So I'm really happy to be on the other side of things here at the MTA, to be able to connect with students and the staff at the CTE high schools and just really get more opportunities available for the students. Most of you have worked with Deborah O'Connor in the past. She is still with the MTA, thankfully, but she's focused on other areas. She's handed the baton over to me. I have big shoes to fill, but she's really emphasized and stressed how important the relationship is for the CTE high school with the MTA. And so as I take the baton, I want to reinforce to the instructors, the staff, the students, that my commitment remains strong, and I will be there to support as much as I can, both on campus, virtually, to make sure that, again, that the students are provided with these opportunities. I want to also echo what the committee co-chair and my colleague here at MTA, Daniel Cardoza, mentioned earlier on in the meeting, that the focus for the MTA during the 2024-25 school year is to really increase engagement on campus. As I said, both virtually and in person, we want to fill the automotive and electrical classes to capacity as much as we can with the students from your schools. As you know, as everyone knows, the Metropolitan Transportation Authority is North America's largest transportation network. There's a lot of great opportunities throughout the organization, and especially for students coming from the CTE high schools, it's a wonderful way for them to get into an organization on an entry level, and then also grow within there's so many different opportunities for them to grow within the organization. Thank you. I did reach out to the high school, the CTE high school staff. I will, again, for the 2024-2025, I look forward to meeting everyone in increments. Please be patient with me as I get out there in the fall. But I want to thank you for all the dedication and your commitment to educating the students. They truly represent a growing segment of the workforce in the skilled trades arena. So thank you so much for that. I also wanted to point out that I did send out, prior to this, I don't have a presentation, but I did send out notices with some information regarding a couple of opportunities that are available currently for high school graduates. And one of them is the MTA Transit Electrical Apprenticeship Program. This is for high school graduates. The deadline for application, just as a reminder, is July 5th for the full cohort. And then also the notice of examination was posted for the bus mechanic helper. Application deadline is June 15th, which is Friday. It is short notice, but still time. There's online applications. It's very straightforward. So they still have time to apply for those positions. And also the bus mechanic helper cleaner position. The deadline for that is June 30th. So there is a little bit of time for that as well. And I would just ask the CTE coordinators that are still on the call just to push that information out to your students as well. And then another thing, one of the high school student, Joshua Bowman, I think his name was, that mentioned the importance of the driver's license. That can really make or break an opportunity for someone wanting to work at the MTA in the skilled trades arena. So very good point to be made. I want to underscore that and just note that it is a great addition to the programs. So thank you so much once again, Gav, for having me. Yeah, thank you.
All right, and I did get that information from you, Jacqueline, about the various job openings. I'll be sure to distribute that information to our CTE schools citywide so that we can have as many of our young people apply as possible. And always reach out to me and the rest of the folks in this meeting for any sort of support that you need.
Will do.
All
Thank
right.
you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Jacqueline. Okay, some of you are still with me. We're dwindling down to 71 people, but there's just so much information I want to make sure that you get before the end of the school year. Next, I want to feature John Widlin. I had to make a time slot for him. John is one of the main reasons why I am in this work, and I'm forever grateful for him. One of the best human beings I've ever met. And John, he continues to offer so many resources to us, even as he's in this next phase of his career. He was our former executive director here of the CT department, but he continues to do so much great work to help our school leaders and staff members. So JW, please feel free to take it away.
Sure, thank you so much. I think Jacqueline still has she's still on the screen. So if you don't see me I think I'm unmuted. Thank you. Can you hear me, Gav?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay, everyone, thank you so much. I don't have a 20-slide presentation. I'm just going to simply ask you to email me. I put my email in the chat. We're offering a series of totally free workshops for CTE teachers and assisting students with special needs. I'm very proud of this opportunity to deliver this. I know it's a tough time of year. It's really difficult getting out of the classroom and getting time during the daytime. So what we're going to do is, once we get your email, we're going to send you all of the slide decks, and we have videos that accompany it. So we're doing great work at CEI. Very happy to be with schools. Some of you are on the call today. Actually, I'm happy to, Todd is there from William Grady and a couple of other schools, BDCA. So very happy that you're on this call still, Gav. Meeting's fantastic. Other than please email me. I have things for free for you, so please take advantage of it. Thank you so much.
Yes, and John, you want me to share? You gave me a massive list of different Zoom links. I should just freely share that?
Please share it. Yes, that would be good.
Okay. All right, great. So John shared with me a number of different professional development opportunities that you can sign up for. So I'm going to distribute that at the end of the meeting. So thanks for your presence.
And if you could just include me in that email so I can reach out to people directly.
Yes, definitely, JW. I got you. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thanks.
All
Great
right.
meeting. Thanks,
Yeah,
everybody.
thank you, John. All right, Paola, are you still with us? Paola Cabrera. I had to also make some time for her as well because Amtrak is a great partner and has so many opportunities for our young people. So Paola, feel free to unmute.
Thank you, Gav. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm Paola. I'm a recruiter with Amtrak, and I wanted to just drop in and share that here at Amtrak, we have some amazing opportunities for CTE graduates who are exploring job opportunities. We have positions all throughout New York and our northeast corridor within various departments, really looking for individuals to come into our mechanical teams that work on equipment repairs. So looking for welding, auto, HVAC, and industrial backgrounds, as well as within our infrastructure, maintenance, and construction services teams, providing support to our maintenance of way components and catenary systems. So they're really looking for electrical, construction, carpentry, and auto backgrounds. We also have positions open within our customer service and transportation teams as well. We offer some amazing competitive wages and best in the class benefits, as well as railroad retirement. I do have a flyer with a QR code that I'll drop in the chat here so everyone can post this information for your graduates or in your schools, and definitely connect with me. Thank you, Gav.
All right, thank you. Thank you for that very succinct and informative pitch, Paola. And I'll be sure to share your information and the flyer with our partners and our schools as well. Next, Caroline Horton, who I told her that the agenda was already jam-packed, but she's been such a great colleague of mine that I had to somehow fit her in the agenda. So please feel free to unmute.
Thank you so much, Gavaskar. And also, I just want to say thank you so much for this time. And it's a lot. But I am so happy to be here and meeting so many people. Everyone is doing such a great work, and I appreciate your time. I'm a facility manager at a biotech company, and also here in Midtown, and the chair of the Global Workforce Initiative Committee at the International Facility Management Association. We are looking since our workforce is aging, and our industry is tied into so many other industries. I often hear from other people that are about to retire and are talking about this. A lot of people think about, when they think about hospitals, they think about nurses, yes, nurses and doctors and everything of the profession, but they never really think about people who maintain those buildings, the hospitals. And so our workforce is about to retire in the next 10 years. So we're looking to bring in people into our industry as well. So we have facility managers, as I posted on Slack, who are from Madison Square Garden, Rockefeller Center, who also work with Tishman Inspire. I work at a biotech company. We have a supercomputer, which is pretty cool on site. So we are looking for to partner with schools, with nonprofit organizations who would be interested in maybe a tour or maybe just doing a workshop so our facility managers can share what we do, how we maintain a facility with mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. And so we just want, we just want to spread the word that we exist and that our industry exists, so they know that they also have an opportunity in this industry after graduation. So I'll put my information on the chat as well. And I really appreciate just 2 minutes of your time. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Caroline. Always an enchanting experience collaborating with you. And last but not least, Amy Raffa. She's a recruiter from the Central Park Conservancy. And I was saying to Amy earlier this week that I have great childhood memories in Central Park, and I've always wanted to connect with some of the big players over there. So I'm glad to welcome her to our commission. And please don't feel as if I've shortchanged you today. There are plenty opportunities for us to work together and collaborate. But this commission is just a snapshot. All right, there's so much work to be done, and there's a lot of time that we have in the school year to be able to deeply engage with you. All right, so please don't feel as if I've shortchanged you if you didn't have enough time to present today. But Amy, I definitely am privileged to have met you and your team, and I do want to give you a few minutes where you can just introduce yourself and talk about whatever opportunities you have to share.
Hi, thanks so much for having us. I know we were a very last minute addition. I put the link to our jobs page in the chat. I'm not going to, I want to save everybody's time, so I'm not going to pull up the PDF, but the website, centralparknyc.org/jobs is our most up-to-date listing of our open positions. But the ones I want to call out to our partners here are our park maintainer, our facility maintainer, and our groundskeeper positions. They are what we would consider our entry-level park operations positions. The park maintainer and facility maintainer, I would say, are really good positions for folks maybe coming out of school who don't know what they want their path to be, but they need a full-time job. These are 40-hour-a-week, full-time, year-round positions with a competitive benefits package, including a retirement package that they can contribute to, and the Conservancy contributes to as well. So, for folks who maybe are still trying to figure out what their path is, it's a very low barrier to entry for these positions. What is more important for us is somebody who is willing to work, wants to work, has a desire to be outside and work with their hands. Our park maintainers focus on trash maintenance. Our facility maintainers focus on custodial work. And then the groundskeeping positions, we do look for groundskeepers, folks who maybe have 3 to 6 months of some kind of landscaping experience. But it's a great way to get into the organization. We also promote from within when positions open up. We are also, if you go to our website, we are looking for a preservation technician as well. So sometimes, and right now is one of those times, we're looking for folks who have trade skills, carpentry, masonry, HVAC, a wide range, sort of a great utility player. Some of those positions. We have a whole infrastructure team. So, there's a whole team of folks who are working on, the hidden sides of Central Park to keep things running. So we've really been trying to step up our recruitment efforts. And the last year, we're willing to do career days, career fairs, come talk to students. We'd also be open to exploring, to inviting classes to come into the park, to meet with the folks who are, the leading experts in these fields where it comes to park facility and park maintenance. Driver's license, that's a big thing for us as well. We do require the driver's license, but we've heard folks talking about these partnerships, and we are open to partnering with folks to pilot some kind of program where we, may hire some folks, but then we're working with somebody who can help them get their driver's license. So I've also put my email in the chat. Just would love to talk to anybody who's interested, but we are actively hiring. So please share our job site with your schools and students.
All right, terrific, Amy. Thank you for sharing all this information, and all of the jobs that you listed. Our CTE schools definitely would be able to provide qualified talent, and I look forward to some further discussions with you. All right, so we are at 5 o'clock, and do I have any final announcements? Let me just share my screen real quick. Let's see. I do want to give a shout out to a few people before you all log out. Can you see my screen now? Yes, no, maybe so.
Yes.
Yes, you can. All right. So the teacher recruitment and quality team, they asked me to share some info with you. I know typically you all email me resumes and stuff like that, which is fine. But we do have a teacher recruitment and quality team where they have a number of different info sessions. If you come across anybody from the industry that wants to transition and come into our school system to teach. So we have all sorts of different CTE positions, from automotive to construction to engineering to IT to culinary to hospitality to business, finance, and just about everything in between. So if you have any industry professionals in your network that want to transition over to becoming a CTE teacher, I will share information with you on that. Next, I wanted to publicly acknowledge several individuals who are leaving their positions to other pastors. We talked about Eric Richardson earlier. Nicole Wiley, I do want to give her a shout out. She was formerly with the Department of Buildings, and she's been so instrumental in connecting our young people to the Youth Leadership Council and various other internships and employment opportunities with DOB. So I want to thank her for her work. She's now with the National Urban League. Jamie Torres and Stacy Thomas, these are two of my longtime colleagues. They've devoted over 3 decades of their life to preparing our young people for career opportunities, and they've done everything from teaching CTE, career financial management, doing work-based learning, and I just wanted to also publicly recognize them for the decades of service that they've done. Thousands and thousands of young people, especially from the Bronx, have been able to benefit due to their service. So I want to thank them both. And also Spiro Katan, that Eric mentioned earlier, he devoted close to 40 years of his career in city service as well. He's spoken on many of our career panels, and he's provided mentoring and internship opportunities for a number of our young people as well. So I also wanted to publicly acknowledge him for his service. Before you log out, make sure you fill out the attendance form and the exit survey. I've dropped it several times in the chat box. And I do want to thank you all for making this job one of the most thrilling, most fulfilling things I've ever done. It's been another wonderful school year, and I believe that I stand on the shoulders of giants. The meeting has dwindled down to 59 people, and we are still a larger meeting than most meetings that central office has. And I just can't speak well enough about you all. The Automotive Commission, the Construction Commission, the Engineering Commission, even by themselves, are extremely large, and these meetings alone don't even represent everybody who's a part of this work, and I would not be able to accomplish as much as I have if it were not for you. So I just want to thank you all. Please reach out at any time. I'm going to officially stop recording right here. But if you do want to check out any of our resources, we have everything available on the Google Drive, and we record all of these meetings as well. So they are very conveniently located on YouTube. I'll share all of this information with you. So thank you all for another successful and impactful meeting.
Thanks, Gav, for all